The Master Dementia Strategy course is really a master course, and it really deals with strategy. The strategy is, and it teaches us to be creative, to find creative ideas to deal with and to work with the Alzheimer's or dementia patient. There are so many behaviors that she discussed. It might be cursing, it might be sexual activity, it might be wandering. There's like 20 different behaviors that she discusses. And then we work together to develop strategies for these problems. And I think some of our fellow students have already practiced these strategies in their jobs in assisted living centers. So it's really, it helps you, as you understand the Alzheimer's and dementia patient, as you go through the course, one thing you learn about how to work with 40 or 50 different behaviors. And then in addition, you also learn how to develop your own strategies when new or unexpected behaviors come up, because you have that understanding of the Alzheimer's patient.
We talked to her last class about a resident struggling to eat, and she came up with the idea of pulling the residents separate. That resident's really good friends with another resident there, so we did something special for the two residents separate from everybody else, and they ended up eating and having a good time doing it. This course is the most in-depth one that I have attended. It's a lot better than what it was 2 classes ago, because 2 classes ago I had no idea what I was doing. Thought I did, but now this is giving me a new outlook.
I've actually learned quite a bit over the last 3 days, different techniques that I can use in my fields. I've enjoyed it, actually. I've done other courses before, and this one I've learned a lot more techniques. I know how to use the techniques now and to help them. I've actually now know what they're feeling, when they're repeating themselves and when they're wandering and trying to escape. Actually, with our residents, we brought some of the techniques to our facility, and we actually implemented them one night, and it worked wonderful right away. It's got a lot more information. The other ones were just basic techniques, and some of them didn't even have techniques that you could use. I think she's covered every aspect.
I knew a lot about dementia, right? That was my training growing up, working in different settings with people with dementia. But listening to her course, the content is so real, it's so raw. She provides such great experiences and strategies that you can implement almost immediately. So I think the content that she is providing is going to benefit even those healthcare providers or those family caregivers that already feel like they have a lot of information. It's going to expand everything that they thought they knew to really grow on the tools that they have and can continue to use with their loved ones. When people think of dementia, they think of memory impairment, right? That's the one thing that comes to mind. But my biggest aha moment that I really, that came to me was there's so many more impairments associated with dementia. So there's hearing impairments, there's vision impairments. So understanding that full picture of what that person with dementia is experiencing it's just eye-opening to me. It really made me realize we've got to look at more than the memory impairment, the fact that they can't remember what today is. We've got to look at the whole person, everything that they're facing, the struggle they're facing every day with all of their senses. At some point in time, myself, my staff can relate to that situation, right? Oh, that has occurred. Oh, we do have a resident that does that. And that would be easy enough to implement A, B, or C. You know, the way she teaches it, it's real life. It's easy to understand. So I gave her feedback that no matter what level a caregiver's at, it's all content that somebody can take and understand and implement. It's easy to understand. It's real life situations. There's so much more information, but in the sense of so much more that can be implemented. You know, you can take courses that will teach you about dementia, that will teach you the typical behaviors, or as Deborah says, reactions, right? All of that stuff is pretty common knowledge. But then to know what phrases to use, what activities to pull out, gestures, physical touch, stuff that is easy to use, I think is the real differentiating factor there. How to act, what to say, how to even touch the person to make them feel safe. So I think that content right there just gives you so many more tools to utilize in so many different situations, because not every situation is going to be the same. You know, not every person presents with the same behavior or reaction. So I think just having that wide variation or toolkit available to you is so helpful.
Well, I've taken the Alzheimer's training courses, and they're so dry. Like, it's just a slideshow. You pay lots of money, and they really don't give you any strategies to work with. It's just, do this. I've actually, in just the first day, I've learned quite a bit, and I've taken many trainings, like how we can implement it in our facility with our residents that we have. Like with the bathing thing, I'm really interested in that.
Just the anatomy, physiology of the brain working has been enlightening to me, and the different kinds of dementias. I didn't realize there was 100 kinds of dementia, and that Alzheimer's is a disease and that dementia is a symptom. So that was a learning thing for me. There's a lot of times you don't realize that you have elevated a situation versus calming someone down, and what's really going on in their minds, how affected the person with dementia is, how much they're suffering. I didn't realize their sight is impaired, and how much they hear everything around them, and it was just interesting. Oh, I'm much more equipped to care for anyone with dementia with the knowledge that I've received from her. This course doesn't compare to any trainings I've ever been to. I've never, even in just one day, been able to walk away with the tools that I've been taught and given here. Day 2 now, I've learned so much more about different behaviors, and I'm sure looking forward to day 3 and 4 to find out.
And speak to them in a manner that they'll won't feel threatened, or they just give them what they want, or what they need, I should say. You get a little bit more confidence, you get a little bit more knowledge from what you learned the last time. I'm looking at her in these videos like, okay, wow, that's something that I would probably say if I didn't understand about dementia patients. So I think every day, for me personally, I get a little bit more confident about how to speak to somebody with dementia, or how to handle it, I should say. So when I'm dealing with a patient that's got dementia, my thing is, okay, well, I am going to validate this patient. I am not going to argue, and I'm going to make this patient, or person I should say, feel like they're needed, feel like they're, I want to be a hero, but then again, I want to make them feel like the hero. And I mean, I think that if you follow Deb's steps to the letter, you're going to succeed in that. At least you should.
I look at people with dementia a lot differently, because you do know why. You do know why they're behaving that way. And I used to be sort of, not really afraid of them, but let me just avoid that because it's uncomfortable for me. And wasn't always sure how to handle it, how to handle myself. And I can see when I can apply what she's teaching me to things that I have seen people do. Their eyes don't adjust to the light when they go from a dark to a lighter area. And my client would stop dead and sort of stand still and rebalance. And I thought it was a balance problem, but it's really her eyes adjusting and a visual problem. It's a pretty well-rounded course that enlightens you. It teaches you first the anatomy, what's happening, what was normal, what is now normal for people with different dementias, Alzheimer's, Lewy body, and it brings out a lot of new techniques that you can use. It's just a hands-on course that you can walk out today, whether it's day 1, day 2, or day 3, and utilize the knowledge that you have.
And today she actually had us do hands-on activity, which was interesting. That was fun. And it gets you thinking. A lot of this course gets you thinking. Some, like the sundowners and some certain behaviors, I can see with our residents, you know, different times of the day because I work different shifts, and I can see the things that she's bringing up, and especially the sundowners. It's really interesting. They don't understand it, and she makes it easy to understand. They're going to learn a lot. They will. And if you think that you know everything, you don't. The way that Deborah acts, you know, like she'll do funny movements with different subjects and stuff, it just pops in your mind. So it makes you, I don't know, you remember a lot better, I guess. Yeah. She's definitely a fun person. She's wonderful. She really is so passionate about it.
I feel more at ease that I can help them with the situation instead of kind of being scared to help.
In the end, it's just kind of like you just really can't wait to implement it and get it out there, because we all deal with patients. We know somebody that at least has dementia. This class, this training session has been really good, and it's kind of opened up our eyes to a lot of things that we were not aware of dealing with people with dementia. I thought her storyline about Janet the Potter, because she gets emotional, and she has every right to be, because she's dealt with these patients, Deborah, on like a personal level. So Janet the Potter, realizing that this woman has been in the bed and not really communicating, and the boyfriend, 80-year-old boyfriend, and Deborah just comes up to her and puts because she's a potter, obviously, puts the little pot in her hand and guiding her hand, and that just kind of woke her up. And sometimes subtle things like that can kind of trigger something in the patient, and next thing you know, the patient's up and talking, and the family member is able to go there and kind of get some last moments and actually communicate with the person that's on dementia that's in the hospice. I thought it was an aha moment for me personally. This kind of taught us pretty much how to go about dealing with patients with dementia. And I think we can actually implement our own strategies. We just use Deborah's as like a springboard, and then we can kind of go about our own way of kind of, okay, well, Deborah went this way, but I might do this way, but I'm still going to implement her teachings.
I've always had compassion and always cared for the elderly, but after this course, I feel that I can improve. I mean, you can always improve. And I want to be the best when it comes to what I do for a living.
My big takeaway is that a behavior is a reaction to a symptom or a problem. And now I have learned to not react, to back up, you know, take my time, because I have all the time, because they're moving slow, so I can too, and back up and figure out what's the real issue, what is the problem that I need to address. It has opened up my eyes to where they are, what they're thinking, how can I help, what can I say, what shouldn't I say. I previously felt awkward, walked into the room, you know, I really didn't know. I'm a nurse, so, but you don't always know what's the best way to deal with, you know, people who are confused. Certified Master Dementia Strategist is exactly what the title is. You get skills to help you master what's the problem, and strategies and techniques how to go at a problem, go at an angle at a better than you've ever done before. I think there's no one who wouldn't benefit from taking this course. I've never learned anything like this in any of the college courses that I've taken or seminars that I've gone to. It broaches such a holistic round, and one day kind of leads into the next day's, builds on the next day's knowledge. So you just need to do it. Who do you really want to help? You want you know, help your clients. There's other things you can spend your money on, but this would be something that you can't ever get anywhere else.
I don't know how to put it in words, other than to say it's been awesome. I think it's great. I think everybody needs it. We were just talking about that too. Been doing the wrong thing, wondering where her husband is, you know. And I was one of the ones that, oh, he passed away, you know. And now I know. Now I understand. You know, you kind of turn it and say, you know, oh, you know, describe him to me, you know, because she always says, oh, he was a great man, or, you know, she describes him to us. So now I know that I can talk to her about him more instead of saying, well, you know, we've been through this before. He's passed away, you know. You feel bad, but now that you know it's the right, you know, the right way is to just kind of talk to her about him, you know.
Don't fight it when they're saying, when a person with dementia is saying something wrong, who cares? But especially the, I want to go home. Again, it's so intuitive to say, you're already home. But don't just think of all these other things that you could say.
I could see residents that I deal with every day, and I'm like, oh, I gotta try that with them. This might work. So she really hit a lot, even just after one day. Like, I'm very excited to try some of the new things that she mentioned for just day one. She makes it fun, interesting. So I feel like working with people with Alzheimer's and dementia, hearing it from somebody else that has mastered it and worked through it, it's a little bit more, there is a light at the end of the tunnel of dealing with it. I think it's gonna help us. And with what she's teaching us is to come up with our own tactic with each individual person, because everybody is a different style or different approach.
Some of the other dementia classes that I've taken, they just kind of give you an overall about what dementia is. This is actually showing you certain techniques, which I do find beneficial. And I think that the way she is presenting it is something you can actually take into the real world. I think all nursing homes should do this.
Well, the one thing about this course is Deborah. Deborah is like a firecracker. She is passionate about what she's doing, and she has reasons to be passionate about it. She goes through the various steps of the anatomy. She knows the anatomy. She knows the differential diagnosis for dementia. She got it all down pat. So she's extremely knowledgeable. And it's as good a course as I've had, even in my medical school. And I went to Harvard Medical School, so I had some pretty good courses.